Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a raw footage from my track day at Virginia International Raceway. This was the South Course and not the full course, not the North Course. This is just the South Course we're riding today. This is with Ride p.r.e. This is my first time riding with that riding group. Really good operation, really well done, good focus on safety. Really happy with them. So this was my fourth session of the day. This is right before going to lunch, and I had ridden with N2 track days twice before, 2 years ago, Carolina Motorsports Park and NC Bike or NC Car, and I'd really enjoyed those. I tried to get to VIR last year in 2024, but Hurricane Helene actually came through the weekend I was planning to go, and so that obviously was canceled. So I was super excited to get on this track. VIR, for some reason, has just been something I've really wanted to get onto and ride for a while now. So I feel like I had been turning some really good laps. When I had done CMP and NC Bike 2 years ago, I felt like I was just really nervous. I was constantly keeping the engine right at the red line. I wasn't letting the revs go down, so I was working the gearboxes really hard. I went during peak summertime when it was really hot. I had trouble actually just enduring for the whole day because I didn't hydrate well enough ahead of time, and actually planned for it to be such a intense sport. So this time I planned way better. I worked out ahead of time for months, pretty much since the beginning of this year. Started working out. I made another video about that. Hydrated really well for this weekend. This was about 92 degrees Fahrenheit or so on this day, and so really hot. I mean, the tires just sitting there without even being run were sticky and gummy, but people still had tire warmers on. I was not running tire warmers. I'm on a 2015 R3 P.r.e. Diablo Rosso, 2 on the front, 4 on the back. Gonna change the front soon. But so this is just kind of the video. Apologies for the raw audio of this. This is just the GoPro audio running. But I felt like I'd been turning some of the best laps I'd ever turned on a racetrack before this session. So in session probably 2, maybe session 3. And then this was before lunch, so I kind of wanted to go into lunch strong and really learn. And as I review this footage, I can see, I was missing the racing line at some points. I wish I had asked a coach to ride with me more, because I'd ridden with a coach the very first lap, and I guess I just didn't remember all the racing lines well enough, because some of these I'm cutting short, and that's probably what's hurting me. So this is the fourth session. This is probably when I got overly confident, because I felt like the second and third I ran really well. I was out there with a bunch of novices, some of which I was keeping up with or passing, and they were on much more powerful bikes. So I was getting cocky and arrogant, and I fully recognize that and understand it. Sorry for the safety tether it was required to have. Flew around a little bit. But so you'll see here, at this section of the track, I'm getting caught behind people where they get ahead of me in the straightaways and stuff, and then I'm catching up to them and reeling them back in the whole entire rest of the course. And so eventually I get frustrated with this. It kind of starts somewhere around here, where I get sort of frustrated with just chasing people who are slower than me in the corners but faster than me on the straightaways. So I eventually pit in sometime around the 7:38 mark. I pit in really briefly, just get some fresh track, and then I start making all my errors. So in this session, I ran wide at this corner here later on, so at 10:15 minute mark. You can see that, where I just ran wide into the grass, but I didn't go down or anything. The corner marshal just waved me right back on the track. And then at the 17:05 minute mark, I crashed right here in turn 4. I just low-sided it across there. So, and as you see, I cut that corner short right back there. I should have, apexed and kept going throughout it, and I kind of just veered and cut it short. before. So that was probably the error I made. It was probably that I was trying to fight the bike and turn it too sharply, rather than riding out that whole thing and taking the racing line properly. I will release another video that's separate from this, where it's the 8th session, last session of the day, and it's literally just me and the coaches and one other person that stuck around for the whole day. And that's what I'm talking about with hydration and preparing yourself for the day. There were a lot of people leaving after 2 or 3 sessions because they were just exhausted. They couldn't take the heat. I ran every single session. Even after crashing, I just zip tied the plastics back onto the bike and I got back out for the very next session. So if you're thinking about doing one of these track days, highly encourage proper preparation, hydration, all that kind of stuff. So I'll be quiet for a couple minutes and we'll just watch the rest of this, and then I'll chime back in. So here you see I get caught behind them again, and at this point I'm just kind of frustrated that I'm catching up to them and they're messing me up in the corners. So I pit in here. I'm on an R3, so I'm making like 45 horsepower. I was by far the lowest CC bike there. Everyone else is on MT-09s, ZX6Rs, R6s, leader bikes. So I pit in here and I just ask him, let me go through when I get some fresh track. That's what I've been told in the past with N2 and some other places. They just say, hey, if you get caught up in some traffic that you can't pass, don't feel comfortable passing, then just pit in and we'll send you back out with some fresh track. So that's what I'm doing here. In this case, the person in front of me that kept getting caught up in the corners was on an MT-09 SP, so I could potentially have sent it really hard around a corner and gotten around them, but I just didn't want to be that person who, messes up someone else when they're a nervous rider, or shoot myself off the track. So, I end up doing that anyway. I probably should have stayed behind them because they at least would have prevented me from crashing. But anyway, here we go. So, back on the racetrack by myself. So right here, this corner, and then coming into this corner, I need to be cutting it more to the right, and then I need to be staying further out. But you see how I hug the apex too much? So that's going to come back and bite me here in a little bit. here we come down the front straight. With this racing organization, you're not allowed to have anything attached to your helmet, so you can't see where I'm looking. This camera's attached to the bike, but you can see I'm looking up here to the apex, and what I believe happened was that I target fixated when I felt like I was running wide. I shifted my gaze instead of being from up the track to down towards that wall, and so that's just simple case of target fixation. Look where you want to go. Pretty simple there. So this is just a couple laps before I end up crashing here in this corner. But as I keep rewatching this corkscrew series, it's like I'm just not staying far enough right, and then I'm not going across the apex right, and then I'm not staying wide enough. I'm fighting the bike to turn in sharper and sharper, and that's going to bite me. And then here at this corner, I should be staying a little bit more right, waiting to turn in a little bit more, and then swinging further out to the left there, and I'm not, because you'll see if you watch the next video, I start swinging out more and following the racing line, and I can pick up a lot more speed through here, and make it a lot smoother. So that's something just to work on, right? Fighting the bike, trying to put too much steering input in, and fighting those turns a little bit. Alright, so we're going down the back straight here, and this is going to be the lap that we crash on. I looked at that guard stand, I looked at this next one. I knew we had to be coming to the end of the session, but there weren't white flags or checkered flags out yet. So this must have been maybe third to last lap or so. This is right before lunch. So here we come into that corner that we ran wide at earlier, into the grass. And as you can see, I'm cutting it short still. I'm just kind of nervous about going into that grass again. And you'll see that turn, if you look at it, is actually off camber, so it's sloping you down away from it. So it's a bit technical and a bit unconventional, or not exactly helpful. So here I come, cooking it into this corner. I cut it really hard there, and then I go down and fighting that steering too much. So anyway, you can see I jumped right off and ran away. I got back to the concrete barrier. I was nervous that someone might target fixate on it and come hit it. So I just got off. I got away. I knew that the bike was fine. That's what they say. Just leave the bike. I don't need to go pick it up and do all this stuff. So anyway, that's what happened. I'll stop talking here and let the audio play for the crew that came, picked it up and whatnot, if you want to see that. The bike was really not that bad. I drilled a couple holes in the plastic, zip tied it back together, and kept running the rest of the sessions. But some good crash footage for some understeer. I was looking at this thing from Yamaha, and they were talking about how most crashes happen under an underloaded tire. So this would be that the rider's in a hurry to get back to the throttle. We're done our brakes. We want to rush back to that throttle too soon in the middle of the turn, before we have our steering done and our direction done. And so you're basically jumping off the brakes, adding lean angle, and so your fork is extending back because you're adding lean angle and you're off the front brakes. You unloaded that tire, and then the front folds, right? Because I was fighting that steering, cutting the corner too short. So that's kind of like a blurb from Yamaha Champions Racing School about probably what was happening here. Or they didn't analyze this situation, but this was just kind of a blurb from them about this type of a accident, folding the front. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video. Ride safe, everybody, and I'll catch you on the next one.
I'm good, yeah.
Alright.
Alright, announcers. Y'all are clear to go to lunch. Rider is code 1.
You want to hop up in the front of the truck, we'll get you.
Okay.
Tower, like 2-4 blue Yamaha.
2-4 blue Yamaha. Copy.
Man, I don't believe he messed up nothing.
No?
I don't believe he messed up nothing.
Very little, a little bit on the flaring.
Didn't break no bars, no handles.
Hey, fellas, while y'all are out there checking the track.
I don't believe he did, man. I believe everything looks good. I seen the GoPro still right there. Most time they lose them.
Stick this back on and we'll keep going.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Nice. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, man. That's what we do.
Finish something on track.
Only time I get to ride one.
Here, get your helmet off. Cool off a little bit, bud.
Only time I get to ride one, man.